A war is already underway. Not the kind you watch from a distance, but the kind that quietly pulls the entire world toward the edge. Missiles are raining across Israel. Iranian retaliation is expanding beyond borders. Oil routes are under threat. Global powers are watching and preparing. But here's the chilling part. The most decisive weapon in this war may not have been used yet. And when it is, there may be no second phase. Welcome back to Aviation Reviews. If you are into stealth bombers, real-world military strategy, and the technology that could decide the future of global conflict, go ahead and hit like, subscribe, and stay with me because today we are diving deep into the escalating US-Israel-Iran conflict and the aircraft that could end it in a single night, the B-2 Spirit. The jet some are now calling the Messiah of the last war. Right now, the situation in the Middle East is evolving by the hour. What began as coordinated US and Israeli strikes on Iranian military infrastructure has now turned into a multi-layered conflict. Iran has responded with waves of ballistic missiles, not just toward Israel, but across strategic locations in the region. We are seeing energy warfare unfold in real time. Oil facilities have been hit. Shipping lanes are at risk. The Strait of Hormuz, arguably the most critical artery for global energy, is under constant threat. And here is where it gets even more serious. This is not just about infrastructure anymore. This is leadership-level warfare. High-ranking Iranian officials have been targeted and eliminated in precision strikes deep inside Iranian territory. This is not random escalation. This is calculated. This is strategic dismantling. And if you have been following military doctrine, you already know what that signals. Phase 1 of a much bigger plan. Because modern warfare is not about who has more tanks or soldiers. It is about who can collapse the other side ability to function. Command, control, communication. Take those out, and everything else falls apart. And that brings us directly to the B-2. Now let me explain this in simple terms. There are aircraft that fight wars, and then there are aircraft that end them. The B-2 was never meant to patrol skies or engage in dogfights. It was built for one purpose, to go where nothing else can go, and destroy what nothing else can reach. We are talking about penetrating the most heavily defended airspace on Earth. Now imagine this scenario. The conflict escalates further. Missile attacks intensify. Regional allies get pulled in. Global markets start to collapse under pressure. Diplomacy fails. At that point, the objective changes. It is no longer about managing the conflict. It is about ending it. And that is when something like the B-2 enters the equation. Because in a single coordinated mission, multiple B-2 bombers could take off from the United States, refuel mid-air, and arrive over Iranian airspace without ever being detected. No buildup, no warning, no escalation window, and within hours, they could strike. Deep, underground nuclear facilities, command bunkers housing top leadership, strategic infrastructure that keeps the war machine running. All at once. That is not just an attack. That is a system shutdown, and this is where the idea of the Messiah jet starts to take on. Because in a region where conflict is often viewed through historical and sometimes even religious lenses, the imagery becomes powerful. Think about it. A silent force descending from the sky, unseen, unstoppable, arriving at the exact moment when chaos reaches its peak. Now, I am not saying the B-2 is anything divine, but the symbolism is hard to ignore. In many narratives, especially in the Middle East, the concept of a final intervention, a decisive moment that shifts everything, is deeply rooted and in a modern technological sense. The B-2 represents that moment, not through prophecy. And here is something most people do not realize. The B-2 can carry bunker-busting munitions, like the Jibu-57 massive ordnance penetrator. This war is no longer isolated. It is regional, possibly global. You have proxy groups activating across borders, cyber warfare increasing, economic pressure building, and behind all of it, a race against time, because the longer this conflict continues, the harder it becomes to control, which is exactly why a platform like the B-2 exists, not for prolonged campaigns, but for moments when everything is on the line. Moments when one mission can prevent months or even years of destruction. And that is why, in this context, calling it the Messiah jet is not just dramatic storytelling. It reflects a strategic reality, the idea that one system, one capability, can change the trajectory of an entire war. Now here is the final thought. In today's world, the most powerful weapons are not always the loudest. They are the ones that operate in silence, the ones you do not see coming, the ones that do not give you time to react. And right now, as this conflict continues to evolve, that capability exists. It is already built. It is already operational. And if the situation escalates further, it may not stay in the shadows for long. All right, that is it for today Deep Dive. If you want more content where we break down real-world conflicts through the lens of aviation and military technology, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, because the next phase of this war could change everything. This is Derek signing off. Stay sharp.